Good morning. Let us start with ICDS. Briefly first we will discuss and then we will go with the analysis of each provision, each ICDS. Income computation and disclosure standard. When I am saying income computation and disclosure standard, matlab these are only required while computing the income. Fine. ICDS are not applicable for maintaining books of accounts. Accounting standard आपको applicable है for maintaining books of accounts. For ICDS is for only what? For computing and disclosing your income. But income of which head? कौन से head के लिए? Is it for all 5 heads? No. Here in this case, ICDS is applicable only if you are having the income under the head PGBP or IOS. That means if you have income other than PGBP and IOS, then ICDS is not applicable. This is one thing. Second thing what you need to remember कि ICDS जो है that is applicable to all SSC having income under the head PGBP and IOS other than individual or HUF whose accounts are not required to be audited under 44AB during the previous year. This is not like TDS. In TDS we exclude the deductor, na individual and HUF if accounts are required to be audited in preceding previous year. यहाँ पर preceding previous year नहीं, in that previous year itself. Means in brief to say ICDS किसको applicable है? SSC other than individual and HUF. Which individual and HUF you will exclude? Whose accounts are not required to be audited during the previous year. During the previous year, then it is not applicable. Fine. किसके लिए नहीं applicable है? Individual HUF whose accounts are not required to be audited during the previous year. This is one thing. Second thing what you need to remember, it is applicable only for which head of income? PGBP and IOS. Fine. For other heads, ICDS will not applicable. Now come to the third thing, very important. ICDS is applicable only if books are maintained on mercantile basis. Means what? Partnership firm है, cash basis पे books of accounts maintain कर रही है. Then what will happen in this case? ICDS is not applicable. Means ICDS is applicable to whom? If the SSC is maintaining books of accounts on mercantile basis. So you need to remember 3 different filters. Are you getting my point? Fine. Now let us further analyze it. Before that, just understand to whom ICDS is applicable. Now, simple thing, what you need to check the criteria. Is SSC is individual oblique HUF? If answer comes yes, what you need to check is accounts are required to be audited under section 44AB. Next question what you will put is the accounts are required to be audited. If answer comes yes, ड्यूरिंग विच प्रीवियस ईयर? ड्यूरिंग दैट प्रीवियस ईयर इटसेल्फ. उस ईयर की बात कर रहे हैं हम, प्रीसीडिंग प्रीवियस ईयर का कोई कंसर्न नहीं है. ठीक है. इफ आंसर कम्स सर yes, the accounts are required to be maintained, then you will move to the further criteria that will check it out. And but if answer comes no, then what will happen? ICDS not applicable. Fine. But if answer comes yes, books are required to be audited, then what is to be checked? We'll check it out. If SSC is individual or HUF, his answer comes no, then you will move ahead. And what you will ask now is income is under the head PGBP or IOS. If answer comes no, then no ICDS is applicable. But if answer comes yes, income is under the head IOS. And last criteria what you need to check here is accounts are maintained on mercantile system. If the answer comes yes, ICDS is applicable. Fine. Now, here in this case, but if answer comes no, then ICDS is not applicable. Fine. Now, here in this case, few points further I will discuss. Fine, I will give you time to write, but first understand it. Even if you are not willing to write, I will make you to write, because ICDS is very important. It has been made applicable from AY 1780. Fine. Now further few points which we will discuss here. So pehla criteria is, what is your first criteria? What you need to remember? Is it SSC's individual and HUF? If answer comes yes, next question what you will check? Whether accounts are required to be audited under 44 AB. If answer comes no, no ICDS is applicable. But if answer comes yes, then next is what? Is income is under the head PGBP or IOS? If answer comes yes, then only there is a question of accounts to be audited, na? Fine. Then you will check whether the books of accounts are on mercantile or not. Practically speaking, cash basis सिर्फ professional maintain करते हैं, traders, manufacturer, they don't maintain the books on cash basis. Fine. Practical approach I am saying you. Fine. Now further what may be the doubt arise to you? Now simple point I will tell you. Again we will discuss this all things. कि sir मेरी presumptive income है, I am offering the income under section 44 AD 8%. ठीक है? Now tell me whether I require to follow the comply with the ICDS or not. Shall I comply with the ICDS? Yes or no? Yes or no? No. Why? Because when you are offering presumptive income under 44 AD, anyway you are going to offer minimum 8%. If you offer minimum 8%, you don't require to maintain the books of account. If you don't require to maintain the books of account, there is no question of method of maintaining books of accounts. Barabar na? And if method of accounting is not required, then in that case ICDS is also not applicable or not. So can I say SSC, those who are offering the income on presumptive basis, ICDS is not applicable. Fine. Why? Books requirement of maintaining books of account is not there. If maintaining books of account is not there, there is no question comes of mercantile or cash basis. So in that case what will happen? 44 ADA, AE, ICDS will not be applicable. Is it correct? Fine. Now, if they don't accept the presumptive income, then they require to get the accounts audited, maintain the books of accounts, and if they require to get the accounts audited and maintain the books of accounts, ICDS will be applicable. Fine. Now, another doubt may arise to you, sir, company के केस में whether MAT calculation के लिए whether we should follow ICDS for computing book profit for MAT. Now, MAT provision we have discussed in our regular lecture. Minimum alternate tax is 18.5% you need to offer. If the tax is below 18.5% of book profit, you need to offer minimum MAT or not. Fine. Book profit के हिसाब से which book profit? Which books? Books which are as per accounting standard, which are kept in front of annual general meeting of the company. Fine. Now what you need to remember, the basic difference, ICDS is for computation of income, for computing the income, whereas accounting standards are for maintaining the books of accounts and to represent the statement of affairs, true and fair statement of affairs. फाइन. नाउ अगर ICDS एप्लीकेबल है तो AS इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल, ऐसा नहीं है. बट नाउ माय क्वेश्चन इज रिलेटेड विद द मैट, वेदर कंपनी इज रिक्वायर्ड for MAT also, for regular normal provision. See, for company you require to pay whichever is higher tax under normal provision or MAT, whichever is higher. बराबर. Now here in this case MAT के लिए आप book profit लेते हो as per Companies Act. Fine. Now for MAT shall I consider ICDS or not? No. Why? Because MAT you need to offer the book profit and accounting standard followed by the company which are kept in front of what? AGM. Here in this case ICDS will not be applicable while computing MAT, but for normal provision it is applicable. Yes, fine. Now here the next basic point. Okay, first you write it, there afterwards we'll discuss it. This is only a prima facie. So virtual students can pause the lecture and can write it, but compulsorily write it so that it will be easy to you to remember. Fine. Now let us continue. Sir, if I don't comply with ICDS क्या होगा? First thing you understood to whom it is applicable. Fine. Now if I don't comply, what will happen? Now section 145 subsection 1 is for what? SSE who is having income under the head PGBP or IOS requires to maintain the books of accounts on cash or mercantile basis regularly. Fine. For 145 subsection 1 का requirement क्या है? Now don't write it, I will give you proper time to write it. 145 subsection 1, what it says? SSE having income under the head PGBP or IOS requires to maintain the books of accounts on cash or mercantile system on regular basis. Fine. In compliance with the 145 subsection 2, 145 subsection 2 is nothing but it empowers central government to issue the ICDS. Earlier before ICDS there was accounting standard और वहाँ पर सिर्फ 2 ही accounting standard थे. Fine. And both were disclosure requirement only. Now central government is empowered to issue the ICDS to class of person or for a class of or for particular source of income. Fine. And 145 subsection 3 is nothing but it says ki AO may reject your books of accounts. What is the consequences that we are discussing it? So don't forget the link. 145.1 says what? PGBP and IOS income you need to maintain regular books of accounts either cash or mercantile regularly to be followed. Fine. 145 subsection 2 is nothing but the central government is empowered to issue the ICDS for class of SSE and for class or particular source of income. Fine. And 145 subsection 3 is nothing but it says AO can reject your books of accounts if books of accounts are not regularly followed. मतलब एक साल आप mercantile कर रहे हो, दूसरे साल cash कर रहे हो, will it do? No, unless it is required for bona fide reason, you cannot change the method of accounting. So if the books of accounts are not regularly complied with, income is offered without, income is computed without considering the ICDS, and books of accounts are not correct and complete. In 3 cases, AO may reject your books of accounts. अगर books of accounts correct and complete नहीं है, method of accounting is not followed regularly, and third, if SSE do not comply with what? ICDS while computing the income, not while maintaining the books but while computing the income, then what will happen? AO will reject the books. अगर AO reject करता है, then what will happen? He will do the assessment in manner of 144, that is best judgment, but it is in manner, not 144. In manner मतलब क्या? जब आपकी books of accounts ही correct and complete नहीं है or you have not followed regularly, then what I will do? I will not consider your books of accounts. I will do the estimated income based on my best judgment. But only here what is the difference? यहाँ पर ये ex parte नहीं होता है. AO will give you the opportunity to contradict the base based on which he has made the estimation. Fine. So what is the consequences if I require to comply with ICDS but I have not done? If I don't comply with ICDS, AO may reject my books of accounts and he may do the what? Assessment based on his own estimation or not. Fine. He will not rely then. So ICDS, if you are required, then what you have to do, आपको compulsorily you have to follow it. Fine. So to whom it is applicable? Every SSE. Fine. Every SSE other than individual oblique HUF whose accounts are not required to get audited. Fine. When? If income is under the head PGBP or IOS. If SSE maintains books of accounts on mercantile basis. Fine. It is not applicable, ICDS is not applicable for computing book profit for MAT. Okay? It is not applicable for the SSE who are offering the income on presumptive basis. Fine. Now let us check whatever we have discussed till now. We will revise it n number of times, so don't worry. Fine. Only you need to pay the attention, and as and when I instruct you, you need to write it. Fine. If time is not sufficient, a virtual student, I will advise you that you pause the lecture and copy it, but copy down it. It is very important because one day before the exam, this summary notes will only help you for your quick revision. Fine. Now let us come to whom it is applicable. It is applicable to all SSE other than individual oblique HUF who is not required to get accounts audited under 44 AB during what? During the previous year. Preceding previous year नहीं बोल रहे हम, TDS में we say ना preceding previous year, but here it is what? During the previous year. Fine. And what is the condition? All SSE. We have already excluded individual oblique HUF if they are not required to get the accounts audited. When? If following mercantile system and having income under the head PGBP or IOS. Fine. That is, can I say SSE maintaining books of accounts on cash basis do not require to get, sorry, not to get, not required to comply with ICDS. Fine. Now, sir, there is a possibility that there is a contradiction with ICDS and Income Tax Act provision. Possible or not? Income Tax Act is saying something and ICDS is saying something different. There is a conflict. In that case, provision of Act is to be preferred and not of ICDS. Fine. If any provision of Income Tax Act, I am not saying accounting standard is for maintaining books of accounts. Fine. वहाँ पर contradiction हो सकता है. But if there is a conflict between income tax provision and ICDS, then what is to be prevailed? Here in that case, income tax provision will be prevailed. Fine. Those who want to write it, pause the lecture. Further we will continue. Done with? Fine. Come next. Whether ICDS is applicable for MAT. That is, MAT means what I need to say. For MAT, for calculation of book profit, on that book profit you want 18.5% now plus surcharge and cess. Fine. Now here in this case the answer is no. ICDS is not applicable for MAT. Normal provision के लिए applicable होगा. Again and again I am telling you. Okay. So no. As per first proviso to section 115 JB, accounting standard which are adopted for preparation of profit and loss account, which are led before company at its AGM. Fine. Now here it is accounting standard, not ICDS. Okay. Whereas ICDS are the standard prescribed by the government for computing the income. There is a difference. Here what you need to remember, MAT की provision में you need to comply with accounting standard. This proviso says of accounting standard and not of ICDS. ICDS is for computing the income under the head PGBP and IOS and not for maintaining books of accounts. Hence ICDS not applicable for MAT. I am not saying not applicable for SSE who are covered under MAT. No, for computing MAT ICDS is not to be complied. Fine. Means not required to be followed. What about presumptive taxation? Right now only we have discussed. प्रिजम्पटिव टैक्सेशन अगर है तो विल इट बी एप्लीकेबल? नो. व्हाई? इफ एसएससी ऑफर्स इनकम on presumptive basis, then what happens? He is not required to maintain the books of accounts. He is not required to maintain books of accounts. If he is not required to maintain the books of account, there is no question of method of maintaining. अगर मैं आपको बोल रहा हूँ there is no need to come tomorrow for lecture, there is no question comes by bike I should come or by auto I should come. When you are not required to come, so same thing is there. If there is no requirement to maintain books of accounts, the method of maintaining is not relevant, and as it is not relevant, ICDS is not applicable. Understood this point? Are you getting it? Fine. Now, what if income tax provision and ICDS conflicts? अगर ICDS provision and Income Tax Act provision conflicts, then in that case income tax provision shall prevail. Means it will override the ICDS. You can't contradict the Income Tax Act provision. तो अगर कोई conflicts हो रहा है Income Tax provision और ICDS में, then what you will prefer? You will prefer Income Tax provision. Got this? Fine. Now, virtual student, as and when one particular point I discuss, you can pause the lecture and write down. Yes? Fine. You want to save the time for more discussion than for writing. Now, sir, what is the basic difference between income computation and disclosure standard and accounting standard? When I say income computation and disclosure standard, it is only for computing the income, whereas accounting standard is intended for maintaining of books of accounts, fine, and presentation of financial statement. ICDS is only for computing, whereas AS accounting standard is for what? For maintaining the books of accounts and presenting the statement of affairs, that is financial affairs. Fine. Now, if ICDS is applicable, AS is not applicable, will it be the correct approach? No. Why? Because the requirements are two different. One is for computing and one is for maintaining. Fine. So here in this case, both serves independent purpose. Both serves independent purpose. Therefore, merely because ICDS is applicable, it does not mean AS is not to apply. Accounting standard is not to be applied. Is it that way? No. So SSC cannot argue, sir, I was following ICDS, so I didn't follow the accounting standard issued by ICAI. Will it do? No. For maintaining books of accounts and affairs, you will follow the accounting standard. But while offering the income, you have to comply with ICDS. Fine? Now. Okay, write it fastly. Written? Now, let us move ahead. Very important. This we have discussed about ICDS, whether government is empowered and what are the consequences if they are not complied with. This we have discussed, if you remember, after the best judgment assessment. That we have already discussed here. Fine. Now, here in case of ICDS, what all relevant provision is there? that we have already discussed. Again, once I will read it and then we'll move ahead. Section 145 subsection 1. What does it say? Income under the head PGBP or IOS shall be subject to the provision of shall be subject to 145 subsection 2. Be computed in accordance with cash or mercantile system of accounting regularly employed by the SSE. Regularly employed by the SSE, you cannot change it unless there is a requirement under the law, time being in force. 145 subsection 2 is related with what? Central government may notify from time to time. Earlier it was accounting standard, now it has been what? ICDS, to be followed by any class of SSE. It may be all or any. Fine. For example, here individual and HUF are excluded. Okay? Or in respect of any class of income. For example, we covered only PGBP and IOS. Fine. Now, 145 subsection 3 is what? AO कब आपकी books of accounts reject कर सकता है? When he rejects your books of accounts if they are found not correct and complete. If accounting system is not followed regularly, and third, if income is not computed in accordance with ICDS. अगर ICDS applicable and if you have not done in accordance with the ICDS, then also AO can reject it. We are discussing for the third point, that is C point, we are discussing this provision again. This we have already discussed. Fine. So he will do what? He will reject your books of accounts. He will reject your books of accounts and he will do the assessment in manner of best judgment. Means what he will do? He will not consider your books of accounts and he will do the estimation of your income based on his own source. But he will give you chance. He will give an opportunity to contradict the basis of his estimation. This is not ex parte. It is in manner of 144 but not 144. Manner matlab kya? Here in this case he will do the estimation based on himself. Got this? Now, that is, if SSE has not complied with ICDS while computing the income, AO will do the assessment in manner of best judgment assessment under section 144. Fine? Now, this we have already written in our regular lecture. Fine. But some students may not have that lecture, so you can pause the lecture, note down it. Writing is very important. Unless you write it, you will not remember. Fine. One day before the exam, this all handwritten notes will help you to revise the things. I am telling you again and again. Fine. Let us check. How many ICDS are issued? 10 ICDS are issued by the government relating to. Fine. Now, let us check one by one. ICDS relating to accounting policies. This is generally a disclosure requirement where certain presumptions are there, going concern, consistency. Fine. So, ICDS 1 is for relating to accounting policies where the disclosure is required, which accounting policies are followed by the SSE. Fine. Whether going concern assumption is there or not. If it is there, there is no need to make a disclosure of that. Whether books of accounts are maintained regularly or there is a change in accounting policy. If there is a change, there is a requirement to disclose what will be the impact. Fine. No. Then second ICDS is related with valuation of inventories. Valuation of inventories, when I use the word inventories, it is related with the three components: finished goods, WIP and raw material and consumables. उनका वैल्यूएशन कैसा करना है फॉर ऑफरिंग द इनकम, फॉर कॉम्पिटिंग द इनकम, दैट इज गिवन इन ICDS 2. फॉर example, to say here, finished goods will be at cost or NRV, WIP cost or NRV, raw material will be at cost. In certain cases it goes below the cost, that we'll discuss. So ICDS 2 is relating to valuation of inventory, how you should value the inventory. When I say the inventory, that is which are maintained for in regular course of business, in ordinary course of business, for what? Sale, for sale. Fine. Now when is the goods sold, the revenue should be recognized and other things that are given in your ICDS 4. Fine. Now come to third ICDS relating what? It is relating to construction contract. Now there is a difference which you should at prima facie stage itself it should be clear. Construction contract does not mean ki where a builder is developing his own site, constructing it as per his own parameters, and thereafterwards he is selling the flats. That will not come in ICDS 3. Construction contract means what? आपने मुझे कुछ construction का contract दिया है and as per your specification I have to complete the construction. Construction will include the architect services also, manager service also, supervisory service also. So construction, it may be of roads, it may be infrastructure, it may be of building, residential. Fine. So construction contract is different than a builder who himself construct the building and sell it. That will not come in ICDS 3. I am talking of whom? A contractor who accepts the work and get the construction done as per the specification of the customer. आपने plot of land दिया है, इस पे building construct करके देनी है आपको. This is a construction contract that is required for ICDS 3. लेकिन I am a builder constructing it on my own site and then I am selling it, that will not come in purview of ICDS 3. ठीक है? Fine. Come to the next, revenue recognition. When should I recognize my revenue? Revenue will be are grouped in this ICDS in 3 parts. One is sale of goods, providing of services, and the income by utilizing by the other person of your resources. That is interest income, royalty income, dividend income, interest on refund, fine, royalty as per agreement. So when to recognize that revenue is given in ICDS 4. मतलब sale of goods कब होगा? When I have transferred the risk and right to the buyer, that time, but there should be certainty of recovery that time. Fine. So revenue recognition we group into sale of goods, providing of services, and other revenue that is related with the interest, royalty, fine, dividend, that income. When to recognize in which year? That is in ICDS 4. ICDS 5 is related with tangible fixed asset. When I say tangible fixed asset, मतलब क्या? Which I am holding in regular business, which ordinarily I am holding it for what? For producing the goods or providing of goods or services, and not for sale in ordinary course of business. मतलब stock in trade I am holding it in ordinary course of business with intention to sell, but अगर मैं machinery जिस पे manufacturing कर रहा हूँ, that I don't intend in ordinary course to sell. Is it correct or not? Or in ordinary course for providing the service. The tablet right now I am using it. Is it I am trading in that? No. In ordinary course of providing this service, I am using this tablet, so it will be treated as my fixed asset or not. Fine. But a computer shop person is dealing in the computer laptops and tablets. For him it will be stock in trade. That will go in your ICDS 2. But if I am having this tablet, I am not holding it in regular course for selling it, na? So it will come under what? ICDS 5. So tangible fixed asset, intangible are not covered here. Fine. Tangible fixed assets here in this case is relating to this ICDS 5 is related with what? Tangible fixed asset. What this? Fine. Now Here in this case, when we will go with ICDS 5, we will check it out that here we required to comply with what? We need to comply with income tax provision section 32, depreciation, written down value, block concept, that are followed here also in ICDS 5. Now come to the ICDS 6 is related with effects of changes in foreign exchange rate. You borrowed the loan outside India or you have acquired the asset on credit outside India. If the rate changes of exchange, your liability increases or decreases, what should be the value, what should be the treatment of that increase in cost, that is given in ICDS 6. Fine. Then government grants, when to recognize it as a revenue, at which point it should be treated as your revenue, whether it should be a revenue means income or it should be treated as a capital receipt, that is given in your ICDS 7. Fine. Then securities, treatment, valuation, revenue recognition of securities are given in ICDS 8. Fine. 9th, borrowing cost. Borrowing cost, when any loan is borrowed, that borrowing cost should be capitalized or it should be treated as a revenue expense, that is given in ICDS 9. And ICDS 10 is related with provision, contingent liability and contingent asset. How much should be your provision, what about the contingent liability and contingent assets, what should be the treatment while computing the income, that is given in your ICDS 10. Fine. Now here in this case, remember one thing that we do in income tax also, specific law is preferred to as compared to the general law. मतलब क्या, अगर specific provision है, fine, if specific provisions are there, you don't prefer the general law. Is it correct or not? One simple example, 272A का penalty अगर applicable है trust को, then will you apply the penalty of 271F of late filing? नहीं. 272 is specific, so you will not go for general penalty. Same thing you have to apply the rule where there are specific ICDS, then the general provision of other ICDS will not be applicable. That when we will discuss with the exclusion, you will automatically understand that. Fine. So this 10 ICDS, need not worry, this 10 ICDS list there is no need to learn also, as that ICDS 1 is for what, 2 is there, automatically you will remember. In your printed notes I am going to provide you all these details. Fine. Only my handwritten notes you need to copy down as and when we complete the session. Fine.